Hey, here we are again, back at Perfectly Paranormal, episode 129. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. They truly don't, and most people think I'm a little bit strange. But you know what? I don't care. I'm sharing with you what I experience, sometimes on a daily basis, and it is all 100% real and true. So today is no different. Today we are opening the door on demonic eviction. And you're going to hear where entities go when I remove them from people personally or from their homes. And you might just be surprised. There are 3 options that I give these entities. And also, this is quite interesting, what do I do with summoned entities? They need a different approach, and I'll be explaining what they are right at the end of the episode. So let's get into unveiling safe demonic eviction practices that keep me alive and doing the good work. Before we start, and no, this is not a trigger warning, this is about how you approach these entities. A lot of people talk about demon slaying, demon hunting. Those sorts of terms really do peeve off these entities. And people who use those words are going to get an energetic slap or a push down the stairs or a few scratches sooner or later. And also, killing these entities is absolutely not, hear me now, not an option. And there's a few reasons for that. And one of the major ones is that there are millions of them out there. Like, they're simply observing everything we do. So retribution and revenge are high on the cards. Any time that you give them an excuse to attack, they're going to be on it instantly. And for me personally, I don't work that way. I treat every energy being that I come across with the same level of respect. Because a lot of them are just doing their job. But also too, they're not given the option to stay in places either. Now what I mean by that, if I'm professionally employed to do an energy clearing, I have the energetic legal right, this is how I see it, to do this work. But if random people, which quite often happens, random people or egotistical energy workers, they interfere sometimes and they just go around willy-nilly doing energy clearing work on places because they think it needs doing without the permission of the owners or the occupants of the building. That's ego. And look out. Like all these people out there that think, oh yeah, I want to do what Anna does. Look out, if you don't approach these entities properly, they will come knocking on your door late at night. And they will cause merry hell in your home because you've overstepped the balance and the energetic boundaries. It is just simply a thing. So you don't work in ego, and it is not a job, it is a lifestyle. That's what I say to people. You can't become a part-time energy worker, or especially if you're working with the lower vibrational beings, because they will come and observe you. They will watch every single move. They will be present in nearly every place that you go to. Some shops that I go to, I will get to the door, like I talked about in one of my other episodes. I got to the door of this shop and I simply could not enter. And people are looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And it was like trying to walk through this massive dark force field. And the entities there, they thought that I was there to do an energy clearing. And it was not. I was just there to buy pumpkin and broccoli and a couple of other groceries in this little shop. So I backed away and I thought about it and I went, right, how do I get in there? And I thought about it logically, because everything has logic behind it. And what I did as I approached the building is I said, I am not here to do any energy clearing work. I am simply here to do some shopping. So go about your business. I don't care what you're up to. Off you go. Bye-bye. And within maybe 1 or 2 minutes, that force field, that dark field of energy that was keeping me sort of barricaded on the outside, it dispersed. and they went back to what they were doing because they knew that I was simply there to do some shopping. So enough waffling on. Let's get into what are the 3 options that I give lower vibrational entities when I do people clearing or property clearings. Number 1, I like to keep the balance because there's an energetic balance that is part of the reality that we live in. Believe it or not, there is, I don't know if you want to call it spiritual warfare, energetic warfare. There's a lot of argy-bargy going on in the background all the time. And I find that most of the time, probably about 90% of the time, these dark or demonic entities that are present in people's homes because of what we do in our homes and the vibrations we create, they simply want to go back out into the earth environment. I can't stop them. I mean, in the past, I did attempt to send them to certain places and I got that energetic slap I talked about earlier. There was all sorts of things going on in my house. Big problems. And when I worked out what I had done wrong, wasn't these entities, it was me overstepping the boundaries of what we humans are allowed to do. Because remember, there's this energetic, I don't want to call it warfare, but there's this energetic fight going on in the background between good and evil all the time. Now, I know that sounds conspiracy theory, whatever you want to think, you think it. But I'm just putting out there what I experience and from my understanding. These beings, they have free will. And if their energetic food is located somewhere in this environment, or they've been ordered or deployed for some reason that I'm just not even going to ask about, I simply just don't interfere in the dark realm. I just don't ask why they're here. I remove them from places that I'm employed to do so from. And they will suffer people like me because I do work for the high vibrational beings, the angels, archangels, God, source, whatever you want to call it. But I also respect the dark entities. And I sort of sit in the middle, a bit like a mediator sometimes. Because the angelic beings, their vibration is so high, they can only have a certain presence in our earth vibration, because our earth vibration is quite dense. And then you've got the lower vibrational beings that are even a denser vibration. So there's a lot of people on earth like me. We kind of sit on the fence. We do the mediating. We do the energy work. We help keep the energetic environment in that balance if we can. Like, I'm going to talk about the balance probably in another episode in the future. I need to get the wording right in my brain so that I explain it clearly. Number 2, I give them the option to transition into the afterlife. Now, there's a special place. A lot of people are horrified when I tell them this. They're like, oh no, that's just for good people. Demons go to hell. Not always. Remember, they are energy beings. They originally came from light. They can go back to light. It's all free will. So these beings can go to what I call the healing space. Now, I talked about this back in episode 43, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot now. But it does happen. And I find it happens in waves. And what I mean by that is that there is groups of dark entities or demonic entities leaving the earth reality when there is a shift, a higher vibrational shift in the energy, whether it's in the earth, on the earth, around the earth. I can't explain it because I'm not connected in that way. I don't get sort of ascension information. Remember, I sit on the fence working with the light, but also working with the dark. And also too, Satan cannot keep these energy beings in hell. He can't keep them here. Free will reigns the universe. For every energy being that's present here in the universe or beyond, free will reigns. It just simply does. So if you're interested in what I had to say about the healing space, where these dark energy beings go, you can scroll back to episode 43 and have a listen to that. And also, oh my goodness, that is where I got to have one of my experiences with the Legion Generals, and that is rather fascinating. They are really interesting demonic level entities. They're not what you see in the movies. It was like, wow, that was a wow moment for me. And number 3, obviously, some people are going to go, just send them back to their encampment. You know, people call it hell. That's what most people call it. But they won't always go back there. Depends on their deployment orders or their contracts? Or are they freelancers where they just simply have been given free rein to feed off the emotional imprints, the trauma imprints, the addiction imprints that we humans create in this environment? I can't give you a full explanation because they only share with me what I need to know. So we can't make these entities do anything, but they can be reasoned with. And most people might go, oh my God, why would you want to reason with a demonic entity? If I clean them out of people's homes, they know that they are not going to be hurt or harmed. Now, how do they know that? Well, number one, they can read your mind. They read your energy field. And I say it. Words carry an intention. They carry a vibration. So if I'm looking at a floor plan of someone's home anywhere in the world, or I'm looking at a person, because I'm very visual. I like to look at images. It helps me connect. It's my way of doing it. I will say, I have been professionally employed to work on this property, and I'll say the address as I'm looking at either a picture of the house or the land or a picture of the floor plan. And I will say, any dark or demonic entities in this property will not be hurt or harmed. You simply need to move house. That's the words I use. And I don't send them into other people's homes. It is not what I do. I simply professionally remove them from a home or a property or a person, and then they go wherever their favourite vibration is. And what I mean by that, each entity has a particular vibration that they vibrate at. It's something that feeds them. It keeps them energized. It could be hatred or resentment or guilt or abandonment. Every emotion that we create is a vibration. Everything that we do is a vibration, whether it's verbal abuse, physical violence, self-harming, suicide, death, stroke, assaults, mental and emotional instability. It all carries a vibration, and particular entities are drawn to those vibrations. So as long as they leave the property that I'm working on and they don't return, well, they can't return because I'm cleaning it out and I put protection around the property. So they simply can't get in again. They'll just bounce off that protection. So you just follow those rules and you be humble. You simply be humble and they will go, they'll think they've got the upper hand. It's just, you've got to play the game. You've got to play the game. And for all those people out there doing energy work, you do get a name in the dark realm. And I don't mean that to frighten people. It's what I call the dark gossip vine. They know the energy workers who energetically spring clean properties, as I call it. And the entities watch you closely. They listen to you talking to clients on the phone or in person. They can read the vibration in emails. And how I know that is, I've been talking to clients on the phone, and I live in Tasmania, and I can talk to people generally in Australia through the phone or emails in the rest of the world or Zoom calls. I will get a change in the energy in my home sometimes. Now they can't, how can I put it? They can't get in to my home anymore, but I'm so sensitive because I've got this protection around my home. I'm so sensitive, I feel them around the outside of the home. Or if they do make themselves known, it's through the actual phone call because they can travel through digital communication. I don't think, not so much with text messages or emails. It seems to be that in-person thing where I'm looking at a property or I'm talking to someone in the property. Now, the entities will come and they will move around me. And I might feel a bit brain foggy or a bit sort of wonky in the head, as I call it. What they're doing is they're observing. They're going, right, is she ethical or are we going to give her a hard time? And they can't. They can't give me a hard time because I am 100% ethical with them. There's no fear. There's no panic. There's no paranoia. I was doing a house clearing in a home one day for a family. Very short story here. And a young girl couldn't sleep. She must have been about 3 at the time. Very psychic, as all little kids are. And she knew what was in the house. And she found a way to tell her parents what it was. Anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm about to say my statement. I now wish to energetically enter this home. Any entities present will not be hurt or harmed. And as I'm looking at my laptop, in my right peripheral vision, in my right eye, I see this very long, slender, black, shimmering shape. Now, it wasn't there until I asked permission to enter that property. I hadn't been there all day, and I've been sitting in that spot most of the day doing other work. So it wasn't something that was already there. It was like, right, I'm going to let you know that we know what you're doing. And all I did was, I went, I see you and I know you belong to this property. You won't be hurt or harmed in any way. You just need to move house. And it disappeared. It was simply going, we are watching you. Now, the entities stay in homes till right to the end. If it takes me 3 days to do the job, they're going to be there right until the end, until the home or the property or the person is fully clean of all of their food. If you don't take away the food, which is the emotional imprints, trauma imprints, the vibrations they like, if you don't clean all that out, they're not going anywhere. They will stay put. Number 4, these summoned beings. I know I said 3, but we're going to throw number 4 in here as the summoned entities. Summoned beings brought forth from magic interference, as I call it, or you can call it magic attack or psychic attack. I have had many and varied summoned entities, and I call them summoned because they are created out of whatever magic goo that magic practitioners get their summoned entities from. I'm not a magic practitioner, so I don't understand how it works. But I just call them summoned entities because they have been deployed to come to me or to my home. They're sent out to do specific things. And I've learned a lot about magic from these beings and their antics because I observe. Summoned entities, oh my God, it took a lot of, God, exactly right. It took a lot of experimenting and working with archangels and the Jesus energy, the Christ consciousness energy, the God energy to work out what to do with these entities. Because remember, we do not hurt or harm anything. I have asked, do they feel pain? Are we harming them by sending them to this place I'm going to tell you about in a minute? I got no. They don't, because they're not a living entity like the dark and the demonic beings, like the spirits, the people that are in spirit form. Their souls haven't gone. It's a soul energy that hasn't gone to the other side. The elementals that are in our environment, they are all living beings on an energetic sense. They will stay until you work out why they are there. And this is what I've had to do over the last, it's probably nearly 4 years. And I work with the angelic beings. And what we do is that we transition them into the afterlife. I didn't know what else to do with them. I tried lots of different things humanly, like, what am I going to do with these things? They're in my home all the time. They're around me all the time. You know, they're being deployed to cause chaos and life disruption in many, many ways. So I worked with the archangels and we found that we can collect them in a because remember, they don't feel pain. They're collected in a non-harmful way and they are simply sent to the light. And they can't come back to me or my clients or the homes that I'm clearing them from. So the archangels haven't really given me the information of what happens to them when they get to the other side. But I like to think that they're given a purpose elsewhere in a way that is non-confrontational. That's all I'm going to say. You know, it's do not hurt, do not harm. That is my rules. So we've come to the end of this episode. And I just want to say before we finish up, respect rules the universe. Intention rules the universe too. But respect is up there with intention. And it sounds really poncy, but it's true. Dark beings, dark and demonic level entities respect me because I work ethically and I respect them. It's neutral and I'm not feeding them any emotional energy. And they're not harmed. They're simply evicted from the property and they just move house, as I call it. Ego and arrogance will get you into trouble with the living, but also with the non-living. So ditch them and be respectful. So in episode 132, you are going to get an updated bunch of information on portals. Oh my gosh, I have learned so much about portals in the last sort of 8 to 12 months. I thought I needed to update. So we're going to talk about different types of portals, how we create them, and yes, we create them. What I'm trying to say is the dark and the demonic entities don't purposely create these portals to come into our environment. That's the better way to say it. We humans create them. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we do. You know, I give slap in the face information. It's just how I work. And what you're going to learn is we're going to look at chakra portals, trauma portals, addiction portals, spiritual portals, magic portals, and transition portals, which I kind of shared back in episode 124. Transition portals are a positive portal. That is something that I thought people would find interesting and that they can safely use to help spirits transition into the afterlife. And there's a never-ending interest in understanding these interdimensional doorways. I mean, we all have different ways of looking at it. Some energy workers will go, oh, what Anna shares is a load of rubbish. But what I share is my perspective, what I've learned through working with this every single day. So how energy beings get around in our reality is really, really fascinating, whether they're cosmic beings, whether they're magic beings, or whether they're dark entities. I am always learning something new, and I love sharing it with you. So I look forward to seeing you next week for more updated information on portals. If you like the content of this episode today, please think about leaving me a rating and a review. What reviews do is they let other people know your thoughts about my supernatural subject matter. People love reading reviews, and we're spreading the word about the real paranormal world around us. I would really appreciate it. Now let's get back to the episode. So thank you for joining me today, and don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording, or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.